Good morning, friends. Or afternoon, rather. It is Wednesday, July 9th. It is 12:15 p.m. And today we are joined to stop, to breathe for a moment, and to reflect. I hope everybody's having a great day so far. It is a beautiful sunny day here in Atlanta, yet another super hot one. I hope you are safe where you are. I hope that you are happy where you are. And I hope that you have just a moment to be able to stop in your day to day and just kind of reflect and figure out where do I want to go with today. We're going to start this time off. I hope everybody's in a spot where you are, first off, you're comfortable and you don't have anything distracting you. Perhaps you can find a quiet place, comfortable chair. You want to be kind of sitting upright, hopefully. And we're going to do a body scan. I want everybody to kind of scan from over the top of your head to down below the soles of your feet. How are you holding your body? What's your posture like? What's going on with you? And I want everybody to just kind of scan your body from your head all the way down. Are you am I holding tension in my forehead? Is my face all scrunched up? Am my jaw clenched? Am I holding tension in my shoulders? Let's wiggle that out and just kind of settle yourself down a little bit and kind of realize, how do I feel? And once you kind of get all that tension out, then let's pay attention to our breathing as we begin.
Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. 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 Finished.
All right, friends. And I hope that we can kind of feel a noticeable difference within ourselves as we, finish that breathing. If you don't, like maybe just kind of have to stop, rewind, and go through that again. It's a really helpful way to allow ourselves to be as regulated as we can be, so that we can respond lovingly to the world around us. Oftentimes, people find themselves in kind of a state where um, you play quiet and you play nice for so long, and then it all just kind of builds up in you, and you kind of have to allow yourself to dispel all those things that are building up within you. And there's a lot of different ways of processing that. Um, but you got to talk about it, and you need to confront in some kind of way, or at least discuss and communicate what's going on. That's the frustration to you. Hopefully with whatever the situation is, but at the very least, talking to somebody to kind of help you through those things. And if you don't, and the things don't change, eventually you're going to find yourself in this state of, I can't do this anymore. And you're going to find yourself in a state of, I'm not sure what's next. I'm not sure what I should be doing. And that's something I personally experienced within my own vocation. I was reflecting on today's gospel, which is the calling of the 12, right? And I was thinking back to my own vocational journey as I was, discerning and going into seminary. And I fought so hard the whole way through seminary. And, finally, by grace, reached the altar, was able to get ordained and do all that. But as time went on, as a priest, this feeling within my heart was like, I don't know how long I can do this, right? Because a lot of the things that I was fighting for were things that the church just isn't necessarily there yet, as the hierarchy and the teaching goes. And so, you know, what do you do when you don't know what to do next? I think is a great question that all of us have to ask ourselves. And I'm still in some ways kind of discerning that in my own life. How does one live out life when life changes? How does one live out life in a way that allows them to still be full of, a sense of hope and things like that? Because when life changes like that, it's very easy to fall into despair, isn't it? It's very easy to find yourself in a place where I don't know what's going to happen next. But that's the whole point of faith. That's the whole reason we have a system of belief. It's because in those times where things are not their best, that something drives within us to keep us going. And so we have to allow ourselves to be stirred within. Our hearts have to be aroused in some kind of way. We got to look for that ardor within ourselves. ARDOR. If you've never heard that word, it's this stirring of zeal within oneself. And that's something that every single person needs to have. It's that vibrancy of life that we're all called to. It's that call of expression, either in service or in art or in some capacity, that what it does is it feeds the community surrounding us in a way that enlivens us. It allows the life that exists within you to be shared, flourished, and multiplied amongst those who receive it. But how do we allow that very soul within ourselves to be stirred when perhaps, the waters of life have squelched some of those flames? Well, I will be very candid and say it's a hard place to be. You know, how do you start again? How does one begin again? How does one become renewed? I will say from personal experience, there's a lot of reflection, but bear in mind, it's not a dwelling upon the past. One can't, I mean, let's be honest, you can't play this, Monday morning quarterbacking, this idea of, well, this is how it should have gone. Because honestly, you did the best you could in the moment you were doing it, were you not? At least you were trying, and maybe you just didn't have it in you, or maybe you didn't step up and you can recognize that. But that's all okay because you're able to recognize that now. But the reflection in and of itself is, where was my heart then? And where is my heart now? And what is it that I desire, I yearn? Oftentimes that requires some type of an inspiration. It's a catalyst that's required. And that may be a relationship, or it may be some kind of a job or volunteer or service in some kind of a way. Maybe it's something that you have read or watched or listened to. Whatever it is that inspires you, though, that's a very, very positive thing. So, how does that newfound knowledge kind of become processed into wisdom? And we allow ourselves to kind of express that in some kind of way, because I think that's really how wisdom is expressed. It's in the way in which one has processed an experience and they allow that to come out in some kind of way, either visually or through sound or a combination of the two. They may be writing something and they share that experience in some kind of way that it enlivens the heart of those who hear it. So what's going on within self is the question that I have to ask myself constantly. What am I feeling? What is the yearning? What is the hope? What am I missing? What is it that I am mourning, perhaps, of the previous life? And I've said this to people, when I was counseling them so many different times. You have to be aware of what it is that you're mourning that you cannot get past. For me, a lot of people have asked, do you miss, celebrating Mass and things like that? Do I? Absolutely. I do. But at the same time, I don't. I had this, the experience of the pandemic where I celebrated mass and did a lot of prayer by myself. And I had to cultivate, and not only that, but try to, in some kind of way, support the community that I was serving and do that without being fed by the Eucharist solely. And it required me to learn to flex some muscles of prayer that were not necessarily sacramental in their exact nature. Um, the same thing is true now. What do I do in the times that if you can't do something that you used to do, how do you go about living it out currently? How do I do that a different kind of way? I'm not going to give you the answers. These are things that you have to ask yourself. And the best ways that we come to that is by discussing it with other people. We learn from community. These aren't answers that are going to come to you by yourself. These are things that you're going to have to come to terms and figure out with those people who love you and know you. Now, where I have found it to be somewhat difficult is there's a lot of people who I knew and loved that I don't hear from anymore. I just don't. It's not that I burned any bridges. It's that when I left, that I suppose the relationship changed and I changed to them. And that was kind of a very hard reality because I find myself currently kind of rebuilding tribe, creating new village for myself because the community that I had really surrounded myself with was no longer present. And so is that a total loss, or do we just kind of read the signs and go, well, you know what? This is time for a new life within self. This is a chance for renewal within self. And so, this is why for the last, 2 years, I've been working kind of all kinds of different odd jobs. If somebody's got something that they want me to do, if it's a photography gig, if it's a sound gig, if it's an audio video gig, if it's and whatever it is, I'm just like, sure, that sounds like fun because I've been able to experience so many different new things. And none of them are a career. I had a career that I was completely passionate about in every way, shape, or form. But at the same time, I was very lost at that time. That doesn't mean that it was wrong. It was absolutely where I was called to be when I needed to be there. But I realized that, where I am going, that's where I'm going to need to be as well. Doing something differently, creating and taking with me all the experience that had happened previously. And so my kind of sharing on this midpoint of our week is how do we allow ourselves to begin new? And it just comes down to do it. Let me just try something different. Let me try something I've never tried. Allow me to kind of be available to the people that are around me and offer to just kind of be a helping hand in some kind of way. Through that, I've experienced all kinds of new things and listened to all kinds of new ways of life and all kinds of things that I never would have experienced otherwise. In many ways, it's a life pilgrimage of sorts, and I couldn't possibly encourage it more because it allows me to see life in a different way. And honestly, that is the message of the gospel. It's to be with new eyes and new heart each and every day. It's to allow myself to be guided in a special new kind of way, inspired in some kind of way. And so, you know, um, I can't encourage any of you more to not feel stuck by the things that surround us, but rather allow yourself to be transformed by those very struggles. Allow yourself to grow beyond and realize that there is nothing that can end, but rather it's allowing yourself to continue to survive, but not just survive, but to thrive beyond. And so my hope for all of you, if you find yourself in a place where you're maybe lacking some of that hope, or maybe it's a place where you need to allow yourself to just kind of pause for a second, just realize there's nothing bad about that. That's great. Do that. Keep doing that. Keep trying new things. Keep opening your heart and allowing yourself to be molded in some kind of way by the experiences that are placed before you by the divine. And through those very experiences, allow your heart to grow and allow yourself to be transformed again and again. And that's kind of what it's all about. So I don't know. Hopefully, this sharing that was It's very helpful. I was trying to be as vulnerable as I could in this and share with you. You know, it's been a struggle, but at the same time, there's a new life that comes from that, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I hope that for those who are lost, that you find that. You know, because new things await, and just allow yourself to be open to be inspired. Peace be with all of y'all on this Wednesday. I hope that you have an amazing afternoon. That you have a great evening, and that. You found some peace in this so that you're allowing yourself to be kind of I don't know, guided in the way that you should be. And yeah, peace be with all y'all now and always. Y'all be good to yourselves. Y'all be good to each other. Take care.